Welcome to Win the Day from Back to the Bible. I'm your coach, Pastor Nat, and today we're going to talk about how Jesus is God. People often claim that Jesus never claimed to be God. Now, sure, he claimed to be God's Son. Yes, he surely was a good teacher and maybe even a prophet. But Jesus, according to some, never claimed to be God. But is this true? Let's go back to the Bible for the answer. In fact, let's wrap up the very tense discussion between Jesus and the religious leaders in John chapter 8, beginning in verse 54. Jesus answered, "If I glorify myself, my glory is nothing. It is my Father who glorifies me, of whom you say he is our God. But you have not known him. I know him. If I were to say that I do not know him, I would be a liar like you. But I do know him, and I keep his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad." So the Jews said to him, "You are not yet 50 years old, and you have seen Abraham?" Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." So they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. Jesus has been in an intense dialogue with the Jewish leaders. He has called them out for their self-delusion. They have called him racial slurs. Jesus has not retaliated, but spoken plainly of their spiritual status, which was Jesus' utmost concern. They reject his assessment and tell him that he is demon-possessed. He rejects their charge and says, "You don't know God. You don't hear God. You are lost." And then he continues here by saying, "How do I know that you don't know him? You don't keep his word. You don't trust his word. You reject the prophecies about me. You reject that Abraham's salvation was by faith and not by works. But me? Jesus? I do know God. I am from God. I keep his word." And then he says something that is a bit confusing. He says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad." What on earth does that mean? If you're doing the math, you realize that Abraham lived over 2,000 years earlier. How is this possible? Well, Jesus is speaking prophetically. As one theologian said, it was to Jesus whom Abraham had long been witnessing, and it was Jesus for whom vindication would come from God. And then, in verse 58, Jesus makes the statement that many people deny him. "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." 8 times in the book of John, Jesus will make "I am" statements. If you're unfamiliar, this is how God identifies himself in Exodus chapter 3, verse 14. These religious leaders mocked Jesus by saying, "You are not yet 50 years old." But Jesus says, "Before Abraham was, I am." In other words, I am the timeless one. I am God. The book of John was written so we might believe in Jesus. We would see him as he truly is, God in the flesh, who came to save us from our sins. Do you see Jesus this way? If not, ask the question, why? And then look at Jesus just one more time. If you do trust Jesus, if you do trust his own witness that he is God, I want you to declare it. I want you to share it. When you believe him, you win more than just today, friend. you win eternity.